Okay, so in this position, I was playing black, Chuniflo was playing white, and he just played knight to c5. So this position is quite interesting in many ways. And I spotted a tactical resource. So if anyone would like to suggest a tactical idea for black, not necessarily one that works, but just an idea, feel free to mention it in the chat. Chuniflo is very amused at this example. I did not pick this because I knew you would be here. I just picked it because it's very good. So this one is like we blunder and then counter blunder. This is a really funny example in my opinion. It's on the same level of mistake as what I think my students made in the other example, because it was kind of like I saw a tactical idea and I played the tactical idea. I didn't just look that one step further when it was necessary. And my esteemed opponent also did the same thing. So this is a common mistake at all levels. We were both like around 2,000 level players at this time. So anyone can make the mistake of failing to calculate a little bit further in a critical position. I know that Chuniflo knows the move. If anyone else would like to volunteer, that'd be great. All right, I'm just taking a look at the chat here. Yeah, we were low on time. I actually forgot about that. We were getting pretty low at the time. By the way, anyone who's interested, I have a YouTube channel where I'm posting some videos. Today I posted a funny video about Spassky making fun of Korchnoi and saying why he wasn't the world champion. Just a little presentation of a well-known joke from about 20 years ago. So you can check that out. And if you guys want to be in the community, we have a Discord. So feel free to join in on that. Okay, so the idea, I'll just suggest it, is rook takes h3. Let's see, everybody can see my arrow, right? Yeah, that's right. So the idea is rook takes h3. And the tactical nuance is that this pawn is busy, right? It's guarding both of these things. It's guarding a pawn, which is important, and it's guarding the f3 square. This is predicated on the idea that if I take this pawn and they take back, I will play knight f3 with a double attack. So like this. Take, knight f3. And this one's a pawn. Maybe some people noticed this, but they thought, hey, it doesn't matter if you lose a pawn, but it really does matter. Because when I see 3 pawns like this on one side of the board against a single pawn, I feel like I'm going to get a queen. Frequently, this is the kind of majority that will make a big difference in a rook endgame. And I mean, here we have minor pieces, but it's the same idea, right? Creating a strong pass pawn is sort of a path to winning one of the minor pieces and then winning the game. So here, I saw rook h3, and I immediately played it. And my opponent saw the idea, and he believed me. He played rook c2. And like he just reminded me, this wasn't time pressure. I forgot. I was trying not to use time pressure examples because calculation and time pressure is always a little bit sketch, but it's still pretty good. So there's actually an issue with this. And if anyone can identify the problem, I would be eternally grateful. So if you are trying to calculate in this position, right? Like let's pretend that you actually were doing your calculation in a good way, not like the way I calculated in this position. And you were thinking, I would like to play rook h3, but I'm not confident that it works. See, rook h3, it's a forcing move, but it's kind of a lower tier forcing move. It's not check, it doesn't create a checkmate threat, and it doesn't put your piece in a very good position. It just snatches a pawn. So you can only make a move like this when there is no kind of counterpunching resource. So I would immediately begin scouring the board for forcing moves from my opponent. Maybe not in a brute force kind of way, although that also can do the trick, but I would look for some kind of idea. First, search for ideas. That's an important step in calculation. So my idea is to play knight f3. So if white can interfere with knight f3, that would mean that they could safely take the rook. And if they could safely take the rook, they would have a material advantage. So if anyone has an idea of how we can get this knight to move and therefore safely capture the rook, just put it in the chat. I know that Chuniflo knows. There's no way that he's forgotten our famous tournament game. Even an incorrect suggestion is welcome, so we can just get closer to the truth. All right, so Chuniflo is saying it's a rare situation. What about it do you think is rare? You might be right, but in what way do you think so? Just making some adjustments here. Don't mind me. I guess it is somewhat rare because the idea is a forcing move, which means it should immediately jump out. It's a check. That's the first move that should be played. The reason that this idea is probably rare is because you're sacrificing a lower value piece in order to capture a higher value piece in a different area of the board. It's not related. The move is knight to d7, which is a double attack. So another reason that people stop calculating, I think, is because they don't have objective move searching algorithms in their head. They think, okay, a move like knight d7 will never be correct, and so they kind of rule it out immediately. But this is a very logical move, because if I move my king, I lose a knight for free. It doesn't matter that the rook is on h3. And if we take, then the rook gets taken. Yeah, this is a decoy motif, that's right, of course. So in this final position, it's actually very unclear. But unclear is desirable from this position, because in the game, rook c2 was played, and after rook h4, which is probably not the only move in the position, black just has a clear superiority because of this kingside majority. And everything else is just safely protected. And the game was over in like 2 moves from here. So this idea of playing knight d7, a counter-punching move, is very important. And if you stop calculating early, like I did and like my esteemed opponent did, then the variation will not really go as planned. It's only when we both make a mistake that the plan goes well. So again, the idea was if we take this pawn and they take the rook, we win a pawn using this fork. But if the knight cannot fork, like for example after knight d7, we just lose material. So this was a botched tactic. This is an example where we both stopped calculating at the wrong time. So that raises the logical question, how do you know when to stop calculating? So my general piece of advice for people on when to stop calculating is you stop calculating when there's nothing left to calculate, which is not to say that you just go like crazy in every direction calculating branches. You stop calculating when there are no more forcing moves, when none of the moves that you are looking at serve an idea. The idea search at the beginning is very